A lot on the line today between the Suns and the Mavericks. Who does or doesn't want the 10th spot in the West? We'll preview today's game coming up next on the Dallas Mavericks pregame show. Hey, what's up, DLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks analyst Bobby Carella. We are DLS Mavs, your favorite guys, covering your favorite team on a Sunday afternoon here on DLS Sports. Really appreciate you joining us here. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to DLS Sports as your Mavericks get ready to take on Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns as the Mavericks look to snap a 4-game losing streak before they head on the road for 8 of their next 10. We'll get you ready for today's game over the course of the next half hour. A little bit later on in our show, we'll be joined by our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato, live from the American Airlines Center. But, Bobby, it is game number 65 on the season for the Dallas Mavericks. Tip-off at 2:30 p.m. today. Exclusively, you can watch that game on WFAA Channel 8 if you have DirecTV or otherwise.
This is a national game?
It's a national televised game. That's right. This is the second game of a doubleheader because the first one is being played right now between the Nuggets and the Oklahoma City Thunder. So, yes, this is the second game of an ABC doubleheader today for the NBA. The Mavericks 32-32 on the season, 19-14 so far at the American Airlines Center, taking on a Suns team 29-34 on the season. Disappointing year for them so far. Just 11-21 away from home so far this year. But the Suns come into today's game a 6.5-point favorite with the over-under at 228.5, Bobby, where, as the title card says today, a lot on the line because who or who doesn't want the 10th spot when it comes to the play-in tournament right now?
Yeah, I mean, this one is for the agenda havers. This game has so much in it. You know, it's if you want the Mavs to try and win, if you want the Mavs to make the playoffs and to stall for time and hope that the bigs can come back and hope that, you know, maybe they can figure something out before the play-in and then make the play-in and then make the playoffs and then challenge OKC and see what's up. They have to win this game. The Mavs have to win this game because Phoenix currently owns the tiebreaker 2-1. Dallas is a couple games ahead of them in the standings right now. A win would put more distance between themselves and the Suns and then also would even the tiebreaker, which means the Sun would have to finish clear ahead of Dallas. If you want the Mavs to lose, if you want the Mavs to miss the play-in, to increase their odds in the draft lottery of getting the number 1 pick or of moving up or of even just staying pat at 9 or 10 or 11 or whatever, they have to lose this game because they're only a couple games ahead of Phoenix, and Phoenix currently owns the tiebreaker 2-1. And so a Suns win would clinch the tiebreaker, which means the Mavs would have to beat the Suns in the standings clearly and also would continue the Mavs losing ways, and it could potentially give the Suns a little bit of confidence. And if you're a KD lover and you want KD to be a Mavs,
that's the one right there. That's the one I want. That's the one I'm hoping for right there.
Scouting the opposition.
That's right.
What has KD got? How much has got left in the tank?
I mean, clearly he's got a lot left in the tank, which we'll get into in a little bit because he has been on fire this year, especially scoring the basketball, top 10 scorer, even at the age of 36, as far as his career is concerned.
But if you want him to be on the Mavs, do you want the Mavs to win this game to eliminate the Suns from the playoffs? I mean, this wouldn't eliminate them from anything, but like to increase the likelihood that they miss. So if you're a KD to the Mavs wanter, are you wanting the Mavs to win so that KD's more likely to want out, that the Suns are more likely to push the nuke button? But if you're a KD to the Mavs wanter and a Mavs tank wanter, it's very conflicted emotions. Like there's a lot going on today.
I'm going to help you out on that last part right there. Kevin Durant's out of there in Phoenix regardless of what happens.
No, okay.
In my humble opinion, Kevin Durant's out of there. I think the Phoenix Suns got to find a way to just go ahead and detonate that thing and start all the way over. And maybe Devin Booker on the way out there too. Who knows what the summer could look like for the Phoenix Suns, depending on if they make a trade with the Dallas Mavericks. But
that trade ended the rivalry, dude. The rivalry's. I just feel
it's
bad
over.
for the
Yeah,
Suns
shout
now.
out to 214 sided in the chat. Isn't it crazy we used to get hyped for Suns games for completely different reasons? You are exactly right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, as Tanner says, rest in peace to those days.
Yeah, I feel bad for them now.
You feel bad for who?
For the Suns.
You feel bad for the Suns?
I can't even muster the sports hatred. I was the one that was saying,
yeah,
the Suns are the big. We did a tier ranking, a tier list thing, and I'm like,
wow,
the Suns are the rival. Like that's the best rivalry in the NBA. And now it's like I think we both just feel sad for each other.
Oh, I don't feel sad for Phoenix. Don't get it twisted. I don't feel sad for Phoenix at all.
We all feel. We all feel bad.
I got it. We
all do, not just me. We all do.
I got it.
All of us.
Let's get
every single one of us.
How these two teams got here today. Of course, the Mavericks 10th in the Western Conference, hit a full 4 games behind the Golden State Warriors for the 6th seed and remain up just 2.5 games though on the Phoenix Suns for the final playing spot in the Western Conference. Unfortunately, Mavericks have lost 4 straight games, including 6 of their last 7 coming into today's matchup. They are 22-22 against the Western Conference so far this year, and 19-8 against teams that are below 500 so far. So the Mavericks have been beating up on bad teams all season. The Mavericks looking for some home cooking today. They're just 1-3 in their last 4 games at the American Airlines Centers. They finish up their quick 2-game homestand today before they play 8 of their next 10 games on the road starting tomorrow night, as the Mavericks are on the first night of a home road back-to-back. After they finish up today with Phoenix, they'll be on the road tomorrow to begin a baseball series with the San Antonio Spurs. Meanwhile, the Phoenix Suns coming into today's game 11th in the Western Conference, 2.5 games behind the Dallas Mavericks for the final playing spot in the West. Phoenix, though, check this out, have lost 13 of their last 18 games coming into this afternoon's matchup. They are 2-2 in their last 4 games, and they've lost 7 of their last 8 coming in after previously, I should say, winning 7, losing 7 of the last 8. That's how bad they are.
And their strength of schedule for the rest of the season is actually going to get harder after today.
That's right.
Their average opponent the rest of the season, including today's game.
Did you steal my notes? You stole my notes?
Oh, no.
Let's see what
I'm sorry.
No, we're all
Birds of a feather.
We're on the same page. Taylor, we were literally just talking before the show how we're all have worked together so much that we're finishing each other's sentences and thoughts now.
Their average opponent is a 50-win team.
That's right.
The rest of the way.
That's right. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, the Phoenix Suns got a difficult road ahead of them. In fact, as I mentioned, 2-2 in the last 4 games after previously losing 7 in their last 8. They're coming off the epic overtime loss to the Denver Nuggets, where we saw the first ever 30-20-20 game by Nikola Jokic this past Friday night. The Suns this year just 19-22 against the Western Conference, and they are just 12-22 against teams 500 or above so far this year. They're 0-1 on their current 4-game road trip as they are on the first night of a back-to-back themselves. They'll be on the road in Memphis tomorrow night when they take on John Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies. That gets us to our lead story that Bobby started to allude to already, and it's the question, who wants the 10th spot in the Western Conference when it comes to the play-in, because both teams have struggled coming into today. Phoenix just 3-7 overall in their last 10. Dallas just 4-6 in their last 10 games. The Suns have won 2 of the first 3 games that they played against the Mavericks so far this year. But as Bobby mentioned, the Suns have the toughest opponent schedule for the rest of the year, the toughest strength of schedule remaining this year. Their opponent's win percentage is .591 going forward for the rest of the year. The Mavericks, check this out, have the 8th easiest strength of schedule for the remainder of the year. Their win percentage for their opponent right now is .482. So you got the team with the toughest strength of schedule remaining for the rest of the year, and the Mavericks have one of the easiest strengths of schedules. So, Bobby, what gives, and who, if either team, benefits from getting the 10th spot when it comes to this situation?
I mean, the Suns have every reason to want to make the play-in because Mike Budenholzer, sorry, I just kind of halfwayed that.
Don't worry, he might not be there either.
Mike Budenholzer coaching for his job. Devin Booker, do you want to stay there? Do you want to get out? Like, the Suns have a lot of reasons to think that this is their last ride, right? So you might as well go on top and not quit. The Mavs, I think the Mavs as an organization still want to win, but they have 9 active players today, and none of them are, in their top 5 best players, or maybe even
and a couple of those dudes were questionable coming into today's game anyway.
Yeah, and then a little further down the standings, the Blazers were surging, but now they're cooked. The Spurs were starting to maybe figure it out, and they traded for De'Aaron Fox, and now Wemby's out for the year. So all these teams in the West are kind of having a mid-off right now. So even though the Mavs might not win another game all year, like they still might make they might be the 10
bump
seed.
into that 10 seed.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is unbelievable. And so I don't really know what to expect. And the Mavs, despite having lost like every game for the last month and a half, are still only 2 games out of 9th and only 2.5 games out of 8th. So like I don't know how this is gonna go. But this is a big week for them because they play Phoenix today, and then they got 2 coming up against the Spurs. And so if you're trying to make the play-in, these are golden opportunities to do it. If you're trying to increase your chances of getting younger, then these are 3 golden opportunities to do it.
For sure. And regardless of what we've seen this year and who is not and who is on the roster, the Mavericks have continued to play hard. Jason Kidd discussing that prior to today's game during his media availability about what this team has continued to do, as evidenced by the competitive spirit that they had against the Memphis Grizzlies despite the loss, and what that means as this team continues to move forward. Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, I think it's and you can see that in the last game. Guys are playing hard until from start to finish, and that's all we can control is our effort and energy, and the guys are doing that. We're going to make some shots. We're going to miss some shots, but staying together, and this is what this group has done. With all the injuries, no one's complaining. We just go out there and put our best foot forward.
And they'll need to do that again today as they take on Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns. It's going to take a little more than just try hard and effort today, taking on one of the best offenses in the league today, despite their inability to do the Suns to play on the defensive end. Of course, the Suns led by Kevin Durant, averaging nearly 27 points per game this year, which is 6th in the NBA. In 3 games so far against Dallas, Kevin Durant, check this out, averaging nearly 31 points per game, shooting 54% from the field, and by the way, 55% from downtown so far in 3 games. Devin Booker, his running mate, averaging 26 points per game and nearly 7 assists per contest so far this year as well. Mavericks, of course, going to be led by Klay Thompson, averaging over 14 points per game, shooting over 40% from downtown. And Najee Marshall, who we'll focus in on a little bit later in our Mavericks player spotlight, averaging nearly 12 points per game and nearly 5 rebounds per contest as well. Bobby, this is an offense for Phoenix that is terrific in terms of their ability to score the ball. They're 8th in the NBA in field goal percentage, 7th in three-point makes per game, averaging over 14 three-pointers made per contest, and they're 4th in the NBA in terms of three-point percentage. And you don't want to put them on the line because they're number 3 in the NBA in terms of free throw percentage, which allows them to have the number 9 offensive rating so far in the NBA this year.
Yeah, and who on the Mavs is guarding KD? I mean, I guess it's Najee, but like all of the other guys that
seriously, like somebody say something, please.
All of the other guys,
I got nothing. I got nothing.
Yeah, all the other guys that have the height and the length are out. I mean, PJ out, Omax out, Lively, obviously he's out, AD out.
Yeah.
So it's they don't have anybody with the length to even contest his jumpers, and so I guess probably we're going to see them doubling KD all game and just giving up open threes to Royce O'Neal and to whoever else wants to
Devin
take
Booker
them.
can go
Pretty
get
much,
his.
Are you on the floor? You're going to get an open 3. But if you are playing the whole game in rotation, then who's boxing out Nick Richards? Because that dude gobbles up rebounds. So it's gonna be really tough for them to get stops today, I think.
Hopefully for the Mavericks, they can put points on the board because this is a team in Phoenix that is 4th worst in defensive rating so far this year, which is interesting. Of course, they got a defensive head coach at Mike Budenholzer, but this team has not defended well all season long. And if you're the Mavericks, try to find a way to put points on the board against this defense. As we mentioned a little bit earlier, these two teams playing each other for the final time this season with a lot on the line, with the season series being led by the Phoenix Suns 2-1. Dallas won the last matchup way back on December 27th in Phoenix when they got the 98-89 win. Kyrie Irving had 20 points, only 5 Mavericks that were in double figures that night. Kevin Durant had 35 points in the losing effort. Devin Booker did not play in the last matchup between these two teams as he missed that game due to injury. Of course, he is good to go today as he helps out Kevin Durant in the Phoenix Suns.
It was literally the last time things were good.
Yeah.
Whenever they beat Phoenix.
Yeah. Long time ago.
The punch.
That was the punch game with Najee Marshall. That's right.
I think didn't Maxey hit a big 3 to seal it or something? That was a game in OKC. Somebody had a big fourth quarter in that game. I don't know, man.
And
That game feels like it was a lifetime ago. I
And
mean, it really was 3 months ago. But still.
And you know, we thought about that game too. It was the first game after Luka Doncic had the calf injury. We thought, man, what a hell of a win. You was able to rally after losing Luka Doncic, and you went on the road. You beat your hated rival in Phoenix, and little did we know that was the last time that we saw Luka Doncic on the floor 2 days before that.
Yeah, and then they played Kyrie the next night and lost, and then they didn't play Kyrie against Sacramento and barely lost. We were like, well, that could have been reversed, and then
Yep.
Yeah.
Coming up here on the DLS Mavs pregame show, we'll be joined by our Mavs beat writer Tim Cato live from the American Airlines Center with his thoughts on today's game, and we'll focus in our Mavericks player spotlight, which looks at Najee Marshall. But before we get there, let's try to help you win some money today when it comes to sleeper.
I'm gonna try. These are getting harder and harder to do as the season goes on, but I'm feeling good about this one. Kevin Durant going to score at least 20 points. Dude is a walking 20-point bucket getter. Devin Booker, I think he's also going to score at least 20 points. Oh, sorry, never mind. I don't think Devin Booker is going to do that.
Oh,
I think Nick Richards is going to get more than 8.5 rebounds. I might have done a second take of this because I'm a Devin Booker doubter. And then Klay Thompson, I think he's going to hit at least 3 3-pointers. He's been actually shooting the ball pretty well lately.
Yeah.
Is Klay. And so with Sleeper, the more you pick, the more you can win all the way up to 100 times your money. My multiplier on this one is times 2.34. So my $5 play, if I win, would pay out $11.70 in sweet profit. And I could withdraw that cash roll if I want from my account within minutes of the game going final. It's pretty easy to do. If you want to download Sleeper today, play along with me, use promo code DLSMavs. Play $5. You can get $55 to use on any play, anytime.
Happy plays today when it comes to sleeper on this Sunday afternoon. Before we welcome in our Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato, let's run through the injury report real quick for your Dallas Mavericks and for the Phoenix Suns today. Real short for Phoenix. Monte Morris is out today with a lower back injury. He is the only one with the injury designation coming into today's game. You know who's out, so I'm not going to run through who's out because you already know that because there was a thread of it from Mavericks PR today when it came to the injury list. But who is available? Caleb Martin. He is available. He's dealing with the right hip strain, of course, and Dante Exum is available today as he continues to deal with that right foot contusion. With that, let's welcome in our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato, live from the American Airlines Center. You can find him on X at Tim_Cato. Good afternoon, Tim. How are we?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Pretty good. Is it breakfast there, or did they go with a lunch spread?
They did go with breakfast.
Wow.
Not my favorite. They're not bringing their best.
Yeah.
Oh, what was on the menu today?
Steak and eggs, potatoes.
Any ham in there?
Could have been a little bit crispier. What'd you say?
Any ham?
There was ham.
I love ham.
Some green beans. Here's basically
what for breakfast?
They always have a vegetable.
I guess you could go if you wanted more of a lunch option, you could go with ham and green beans,
or you could go with potatoes. Potatoes usually a good.
I mean, that's like a Thanksgiving option.
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah,
I mean, I gotta hand it to him. It's not too bad.
You gotta ham it to them.
Yeah.
So here's the stakes of the game as I see them. Our friend Eric Ruby at PHNX just tweeted. I saw a tweet of his. He said, "The Suns don't need to beat the Mavericks. The Suns don't just need to beat the Mavericks. They need to wipe the floor with them." So that's the stakes over there in Phoenix, and we're like just hashing it up about some eggs and steak and breakfast. Different vibes on our two sister shows here.
When I woke up this morning, Tim, Eric, the PHNX show is great too, the Sun show. So if you want to go, check out their pregame and postgame, don't, just be cool, don't be weird or anything. But they got a good show over there too. Eric this morning tweeted, "I'm calling it now. The shorthanded Mavs are going to send the Suns to rock bottom this afternoon."
Whoa.
I really hope I'm wrong. So I think Eric is like highs and lows right now. He's like, we're going to crush them, but also I'm ready to get my heart broken.
Was this before or after he looked at Kevin Durant splits against Dallas so far this year?
I don't know.
Okay, because that would have a dramatic effect, I think, on how you might feel about that particular situation. Let's focus in on today's game, obviously, with the Mavericks and the Suns. Tim, it feels like who the hell wants the 10th spot at this particular rate, given where these two teams season is based off of what has happened to these teams so far. Phoenix losing 13 of 18 coming into tonight or to this afternoon. Dallas having lost 6 of 7 of their own in their last 4 straight games. Two teams not exactly playing well right now.
No, but very different circumstances for these two teams. Phoenix has their stars, and this is, Eric and PHNX, they're right over there. I mean, the Suns should be a team that still has shame, and Dallas is just, what can you say at this point? So,
the Suns have, at various points throughout the game, the Suns will have probably at least 4, if not 5, of the best 5 players on the floor.
Sure.
Like almost every second of the game. But for a team that is, the vibes in that locker room must be just atrocious or something. They're way too talented. I don't care what you think about it. Hate all you want. They're way too talented to be a sub 500 non-play-in team. So the vibes must just be like historically bad. And yet they should win this game by 20 if they're serious.
They played a hell of a game on Friday night against the Denver Nuggets in one of the more entertaining games of the season. Kevin Durant hit that 3-pointer, sent it into overtime, and obviously Nikola Jokic going for the 30, 20, and 20, which had never seen before. So this team is very capable of scoring a bunch, and they still have one of the 15 best players in the history of the game, and Kevin Durant on their side. Let's focus in on the Mavericks player spotlight, though, as we go. That's a hell of a transition. Let's focus in on the Mavericks player spotlight going into today's game. And we do so taking a look at Naji Marshall, who put up a Kevin Durant-like game, if you will, the other night with 29 points, 17 rebounds in the losing effort to the Memphis Grizzlies. Naji Marshall in his last 10 games, averaging over 13 points per game, over 8 rebounds per contest, giving you nearly a steal and a half per contest as well, playing nearly 30 minutes a night. Kind of the Swiss Army knife guy right now for the Dallas Mavericks. Jason Kidd speaking to some of that during his pregame availability about the importance of Naji Marshall and what's going to be expected of him today going against the Suns. Here's what he had to say.
For Najee, when he's, being able to get to that floater, he's really, really good. And we need that. We need him to knock down some threes, and we need him to guard the big. So we're asking him to do a lot. I think he played 40 minutes the other night. And so it looks like he's going to play a lot of minutes tonight. But I think, again, just his ability to score off the dribble is big for us.
So, Tim, obviously, Naji Marshall going to have to play a big factor in today's game, given the talent disparity that both of these teams have when it comes to the Suns and the Mavericks. But Naji Marshall been playing better as of late.
Yeah, and I was just having this conversation, and we've had this conversation on the show, but I was just having this conversation with somebody who works for the Mavs in the front office about how, it can be mentally taxing for these players to have to play, 3, 4, 5 spots above their intended role in the hierarchy. And what's awesome and what Dallas keeps showing, like they keep fighting. And, this is not a team that has quit, if there's, if there is that's why, Phoenix over there and Phoenix media is thinking, they might get embarrassed because the Suns at times do not look like a team like they want to play. Dallas looks like a team that just doesn't have the talent, but Naji, and, we've said all year, this is, we started the year saying this is the most talented roster that, we've seen in Dallas, since Luka had been drafted. And, I think the role players that so many of them on, a nightly basis as the team has been so injury ravaged, obviously of late, it hasn't looked as good, but, so many of these role players have the ability to step up and produce something. And that's what Naji was doing for sure, and, he's not going to be able to do it every night. There's going to be nights where, the physical and mental drain of all of a sudden, Jason Kidd was talking about it, before the game against Memphis, there's no number one option on this team. It's team basketball, it's free flowing basketball, and whoever is able to take advantage of that is quite frankly, at this point, Jason Kidd is like, yes, thank you. If somebody is able to, comfortable taking, 15, 20 shots, because, there's no place that those shots, should be going. There's no player to run your offense through. So for Najee to be someone who kind of steps into that void, doing something that never could have been imagined really when he got signed on this team, not to this degree. It's commendable. That's the word I keep coming back to. It's so commendable how this team, keeps trying to fight and battle. And it might not be enough because we know what the state of the roster is. But, I do think that these players deserve their credit.
Someone who played like a number one option a couple of nights ago was Brandon Williams. Of course, he had 31 points on 10 of 15 shooting. He gets to start today for the Dallas Mavericks. It will be Brandon Williams, Max Christie, Klay Thompson, Najee Marshall, and Kessler Edwards starting at the 5 today. So Brandon Williams, who had a terrific game against Memphis, earns himself a start today alongside, again, Max Christie, Klay Thompson, Najee Marshall, and Kessler Edwards today.
That lineup has a little bit of juice. Going back to Najee, though, I think it's cool that he's being aggressive off the bounce, getting to the rim, making stuff happen. But, we have to operate under the assumption that none of these players will be traded for Kevin Durant in like 2 months. Next year, whenever the Mavs are healthy, if they ever are, Najee's role won't be to be super aggressive off the bounce. It will be to spot up and shoot threes. And his three-point percentage has really dropped lately. Obviously, I kind of expect that to be the case. He's exerting more energy doing other things. But I would like to see a little more consistency from beyond the arc for him throughout the rest of the year. I wanted to see that from Omax too, and then Omax got hurt and he's out. So maybe that's the kiss of death. I won't even talk about his three-point percentage again after today. But I do want to see a little better shooting numbers from Najee for sure.
Well, it's too late, Bobby. You already talked about it. What calamity did you just
can we delete that?
With?
Is there a way to go back in time? Wait a minute. We sprang forward. Can we fall back real quick and start the show over?
No, I like the daylight, and you should like the daylight too. Seeing as way like sun.
I don't like how I feel right now. I feel so tired.
Got you. Yeah, that's true. That's
Kevin asked you about Brandon Williams, and did you? I have something I can say about Brandon Williams.
Oh yeah, I mean we posted.
He clarified and said, "Let me go back to Najee for a second."
We posted a reel about my Brandon Williams takes, or Tanner did, and I thought it was delightful. So I would recommend you check out my Brandon Williams opinion on our YouTube channel.
Touche, it's good promotion.
Do you know how many points he averaged? He only played 2 G League games this season. Do you know how many points he averaged?
Like 28 or something, right?
I was about to say he was cooking down there in G League.
31. And then last season he was in 6 games. He played 6 G League games last season, and he averaged 28. This is a player who has solved the G League. He had been for a little bit. He had been a quad A player, one of those guys who too good for the minors, but can't quite figure it out at the majors or can't get his chance. But this is his chance. Reference. Welcome to, the NBA, Brandon Williams.
Welcome to the show, kid.
Welcome to number one option. J Kidd can say there's not a number one option on this team. And, in my opinion, to the extent that there is any number one option right now, it is Brandon Williams.
Yeah.
So let's see if he can do it.
Yeah, and he filled it up the other night against Memphis, so my man's not afraid to take shots. That is one thing that we have seen from Brandon Williams when he's had his opportunities to play, which honestly right now you need somebody who's not willing to be afraid to take jump shots, and Brandon Williams is that guy. Let's get to a couple of our X Factors before we finish up here on the Dallas Mavericks pregame show. Again, you can watch the game exclusively on ABC today with tip-off at 2:30 p.m., at the American Airlines Center. Number one for me, and the biggest one today for the Mavericks, you got to guard the three-point line. The Suns are a team that does not score in the paint. In fact, they are dead last in the NBA in terms of points of the paint. They get most of their offense off of jump shots, whether it be in the mid-range Devin Booker or beyond the arc, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and others. This team loves to shoot jump shots. So if you're not guarding the three-point line, this is a team that we've detailed a little bit earlier, can kill you from downtown with how good that they are in terms of a jump shooting team. And Phoenix is exactly that going into today's game.
They take a lot of long twos. Their average shot distance this year is second furthest in the league, 15.7 feet. They do love shooting jumpers, like you said, but it is still a lot of mid range. They take quite a few long twos. They're very good at making them. They're over 49% as a team in this league at this juncture from 10 feet out to the 3-point line. A lot of that is Booker and KD, obviously, but some of that is Beal, and some of that is even like Royce O'Neal has a little bit of a floater game. I mean, they got guys that can do stuff off the bounce. So, again, if you're going to play in this game in rotation because you're trying to double KD all game, you're going to give up a lot of open jumpers, and it's probably going to end poorly.
One thing to watch with them, they also have the 4th best free throw rate in the NBA. Their offense does. And let me just, as this pipes into the Mavericks locker room, as it does before every game.
Yep.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Mavericks players, all 3 of you that are available for this game, can't foul out. Not enough bodies to rack up to get in foul trouble and be reduced for this game. So just don't do that. Don't do it. Be a good person. Don't break the rules. Do what your mother would want you to do. Remember her words and her lessons, and do not break the rules on the NBA court over the next 2.5 hours.
It's brave.
Especially fouling 3-point shooters. Don't do that. Like, do not foul 3-point shooters today. Please do not do that. And last one for me, just survive. that is going to be the X factor for every single game remaining for the rest of the year. Just survive and get out of there healthy when it comes to this team, because that has not been the case for them this season. Tim, as always, good to see you on the Sunday afternoon. Really appreciate you reporting from the American Airlines Center. You'll be back with us post-game after the Mavericks take on the Phoenix Suns at the AAC.
In person, talking fan survey, unless things change, unless this game's too good that we have to focus in on it. But, yeah, that's our plan.
Look forward to it, man. Appreciate you.
Heck yeah. Bye, Tim.
It's our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato from the American Airlines Center. We'll also be joined in our post-game by our national NBA insider, Mark Stein, as well. Busy day in the association. With a lot going on as far as we get to the middle of March, as we move that much closer to the end of the regular season. But it's time for Mavericks basketball as the Mavericks take on Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns today. We'll be back here 15 minutes after the final buzzer here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show on DLLS Sports. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe to DLLS Sports on the way out the door as well. And download and subscribe to our podcast wherever you get your podcast for free. Just search DLLS Mavs. Give it a 5-star rating and write a review for it while you're there. That's our Mavericks analyst, Bobby Carell. I'm your host, Kevin Gray. We are DLLS Mavs. We'll talk to you 15 minutes after today's game between the Suns and your Mavericks. Y'all be good. We'll talk to you later. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.